Everybody rolls around. I lay on my weekday boots down. I put on my glove rags and face the time. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, yeah, yeah. 'Cause that's when I party down. Party down. Party hard. Party down.
Welcome back to Weekend Warrior Show. After taking a week off from doing the video stuff, I'm back for a very big weekend coming up at the box office. But before I get to the week's new movies, I'm going to do a quick recap of this past weekend's box office. I'm taping most of this on Sunday night, March 29th, so I'll be using the estimates for the weekend recap. I am pretty much going to wing this one because I just don't think it's worth spending a lot of time talking about some of these movies, mainly because this past weekend was just so weak with only a few close races, but none particularly interesting. So I'm not sure how many people even care about the recap. Unfortunately, the numbers are still only running the new box office stuff and release schedules, so none of the historic box office data that I always find useful is available. So I'm forced to use Box Office Mojo for that stuff, and I apologize for that in advance. Anyway, let's get to this past weekend where Amazon MGM's Project Hail Mary remained on top by a large margin with 54.5 million. It was down just 32%, which is pretty amazing for its second weekend, especially considering that its first weekend was made up of a lot of previews even before Thursday night. So 54.5 million is pretty amazing. It has grossed 164.3 million after just 10 days. It is already one of this year's biggest movies so far, with the next movie after being Hoppers from Disney Pixar, which made another 12.2 million this weekend, down 31% in its fourth weekend. That has grossed 138.6 million so far after 4 weeks in theaters. When you consider how many Pixar movies have done much better than this, that's not great. But considering it's the number 2 movie of the year so far, I guess there's no complaints there. It's still going to be sitting around, although it has some major competition this coming weekend, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The biggest new movie of the weekend was New Line Warner Brothers' They Will Kill You, an action horror movie of sorts, which New Line opened in 2,778 theaters. It pretty much bombed. There's no nice way to say it. It opened with 5 million in third place. It averaged about 1,800 per theater. It's just not great. There's reasons for why it didn't open so well. Part of it is because Project Hail Mary is still doing very well. There was also Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, still in theaters, and they're very similar movies. They almost opened against each other. Fortunately, Ready or Not moved forward a week, going up against Project Hail Mary, but I don't think Project Hail Mary is doing anyone any favors, especially those movies. Even the Bollywood movie, Durandar, The Revenge, which opened well last weekend with 10 million, dropped 53% to fourth place with 4.7 million. It has made 22.8 million so far, and it's actually, I think it's one of the biggest Bollywood releases in North America, maybe ever so far, if you take all the Telugu movies out of the equation. Fifth place remained Reminders of Him with 4.7 million, down 41%. It has made 41 million so far, which I guess is okay for a Colleen Hoover movie. I mean, it's not as good as It Ends With Us. Honestly, I've seen that trailer so many times. I have never seen the movie. I never will. I mean, good for Universal. It's doing okay comparatively. After that was Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, dropping down to sixth place, down 56%. Pretty major drop. I don't think They Will Kill You really hurt it that much as the fact that, people just didn't want to see this kind of movie. It's made 16.3 million so far. It's probably not going to do as well as the previous movie, which had decent legs. After that was Paramount Scream 7 with 2.6 million, down 40%. Pretty light drop, actually, if you think about it. It has made 118.7 million so far. It is by far the biggest movie in the franchise. There will probably be a Scream 8. Who knows who's going to be in that? Who knows what they're going to do? But that was seventh place. Eighth place was Sony Animation's Goat with 2.2 million, down 36%. Also, not a huge drop. It's probably going to be affected by the Super Mario Galaxy movie opening on Wednesday. After that was Undertone, ninth place, 1.6 million, down 45%. That's made 18.5 million. It's a very, very low budget horror movie. It's definitely profitable for A24. We have another movie coming out on Friday. Opening 10th place was Independent Film Channel's Forbidden Fruits, which opened in 1,525 theaters, made 1.2 million. It made it into the top 10. That might be good enough. Again, it has a lot of competition for genre movies this weekend. A lot of movies that played at South by Southwest. After that was Focus Features, the AI doc, which opened in 786 theaters. It's a very rare doc for Focus Features. It only opened with a $650,000. I mean, I guess that's okay for a documentary. I mean, it'd be nice if it did better. It's a really good doc about a really interesting subject. There were a couple re-releases this weekend, including The Mummy Returns into 1,430 theaters, and Stand By Me by the late Rob Reiner, which opened in 624 theaters. The Mummy Returns did a little bit better. I mean, it was in almost twice as many theaters, $600,000. Stand By Me, it'll be $450,000 this weekend, both outside the top 10. You almost have to wonder, like, whether or not these re-releases are a good idea or not. I mean, they're basically being released to fill theaters, and I mean, no one's going to see them. That's all there's to it. I mean, they're not Star Wars, it's not Jaws. There are other new movies in moderate release, including Julia Ducournau's Alpha, which opened in 218 theaters, didn't do well, $121,000, about $555 per theater. It's not great. I mean, that movie got pretty much got dumped. And the same can be said for another French film, A Magnificent Life, by the French filmmaker behind The Triplets of Belleville. That opened in 333 theaters. It made $62,000, basically 186 per theater. There were a lot of empty theaters. They did almost no promotion for this movie. I almost didn't even know the movie existed. It's some of these releases are just so pathetic that it's almost like why bother at all. There were a couple movies I reviewed which I didn't like that much, which only opened in one theater in New York. First was Fantasy Life with 39,000, and the other was Our Hero Balthazar with 33,000. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just being sent into theaters with very real fanfare. Gerardo Jude's Continental 25, also one theater in New York, 6,683 theaters. It was a film forum. That's not great for a movie at film form. I mean, those movies tend to do pretty well when they open. All those movies are exclusive releases, one theater. It's kind of crazy that the Rowdy Jude movie did worse than Fantasy Life and Our Hero Balthazar. I'm not really sure what happened there. The big movies were still Project Hail Mary and Hoppers. Those pretty much dominated as they did last weekend. The top 10 didn't quite make it to the 100 million this weekend. I have it at 92.8 million in the top 10 estimated, and all these numbers I've mentioned are estimated, of course. It was a not great weekend, but again, we have Easter coming up, and it's going to be a big week coming up, so let's talk about that. It's Easter weekend, and normally that would start on Good Friday, which is a big day at the movies since there's no school and few people are working. But this week, Universal will start a bit early with Illumination's animated sequel to Super Mario Galaxy. That'll be released on Wednesday at noon with no advanced previews. Let's look at the trailer for that, and then I'll get into the box office stuff.
There's a huge universe out there. With a lot of galaxies.
We gotta get everyone out of here. Go, go, go! Mamma mia.
Based on the hugely popular Nintendo games introduced over 40 years ago, the Super Mario Bros. Movie opened over Easter weekend in 2023 with plumbing siblings Mario and Luigi voiced by Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, joined by Jack Black and Anya Taylor-Joy voicing other major characters from the games. That used the exact same release pattern as Universal is using for its sequel, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. The Super Mario Bros. Movie opened on the Wednesday before Easter with 31.7 million in its first day in 4,025 theaters, then making 26.6 million on Thursday with a huge bump on Good Friday to 54.8 million as it got bumped up to 4,343 theaters. The movie ended up making 146 million over the 3-day weekend to end its first 5 days with 204.6 million by Sunday and 224 million including the Monday after Easter. That's the second biggest 4-day Easter weekend ever after Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and just ahead of Universal's action franchise, Furious 7. In terms of April 3-day opening records, it opened below Furious 7 and last year's Minecraft movie, as well as the 2 Avengers movies from 2018 and 2019. The original voice cast is back, joined by Brie Larson as Princess Rosalina, director Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr., and Donald Glover as Yoshi, while Keegan-Michael Key returns as the voice of Toad, joined by Luis Guzman voicing Wart, and Issa Rae voicing Honey Queen. I don't really know many of these characters because I barely played any of these games over the past few decades, although it was just announced that Fox McCloud from the Star Fox games, which I did love, would also be appearing in this movie, voiced by Glenn Powell, although there's a chance that Fox could just appear in the end credits cameo like they do in the Sonic Hedgehog movies, so it won't be a very big role. Last year, a Minecraft movie, also featuring Jack Black, opened on the same weekend, but it wasn't Easter, and it opened on Friday with 57.1 million, including previews, and that wasn't Good Friday. That ended up opening with 162.8 million, a decent-sized April hit that ended up grossing 424 million total, and that's the highest-grossing movie of 2025, but only if you don't include the money made by Zootopia 2 in early 2026. A Minecraft movie didn't quite get to $1 billion worldwide, unlike Super Mario Bros., which made nearly 1.4 billion worldwide. A lot of the cast have been out and about doing press and talk show rounds. The big one is that Jack Black will be returning to host Saturday Night Live over the weekend, and that can maybe give the movie a bump on Sunday and Monday maybe, but the movie will already be out in theaters for a few days before he appears on the Easter show. Although Super Mario Galaxy's Friday doesn't include previews, it is a day with no school, and generally, Easter weekend tends to be front-loaded to Friday, since Easter isn't really a movie-going holiday. I think Super Mario Galaxy could do better on Good Friday than Super Mario Bros., but it's hard to tell, especially since more people can go out to see it Wednesday and Thursday as well. I personally will be seeing Super Mario Galaxy on Monday night, and I should have a review in some format on Tuesday sometime, I was mixed on the first movie, but the reviews were generally mixed at 59% on Rotten Tomatoes, but with a 95% on the popcorn meter, a huge divide between critics and audiences. As I record this on Sunday, very few film critics have seen the movie yet, and reviews aren't running until Tuesday afternoon, so we can't really factor those things into the mix. I don't expect the reviews to be that much better than the first movie, but this definitely feels like a universal, no pun intended, family film where reviews won't really matter, just like the first movie. Although Easter Sunday isn't always a big movie-going holiday, Good Friday definitely is, and that ended up being the biggest grossing day for the Super Mario Brothers. I expect that to be the same for the sequel, with a Good Friday take of 55 to 6 million, although it won't have the benefit of Thursday previews to boost its weekend. The Super Mario Galaxy movie will probably open in a similar 4,300 plus theaters, as many other returning movies give up their own theaters for it. But it's hard to say whether it'll open as big as the first movie, because that really was a singular event movie. Some might not feel as strongly or as urgent to see this one. There's also the Project Hail Mary factor, which is still playing in a lot of theaters, and that has a lot of buzz and word of mouth. That's getting people out to theaters, even on its second weekend. I still think it could do 45 to 50 million on Wednesday and Thursday, and maybe somewhere around 135 to 150 million on the weekend. So it'll be very close, but I'm going to put it around 185 to 190 million for the first 5 days. I'm going to leave Monday out of the equation. Before getting to the next movie, I want to apologize for the weird lighting changes on that last bit. My apartment faces the west, and around 6 p.m. on sunny days, the sun just starts blasting into my window, right into my eyes, creating these weird shadows that I'd never even noticed before, and it became really obvious while I was recording that last bit that I could not see. That's exactly what happened while recording the last bit. If I look a little blown out towards the end, I couldn't quite figure out what was going on, but I apologize. Anyway, offers counter-programming to Super Mario Galaxy is A24's dark romantic comedy, The Drama. It brings together Robert Pattinson and Zendaya for the newest movie from Christopher Borgli, who directed Nicolas Cage in the strange comedic thriller Dream Scenario 3 years ago. Let's look at the trailer for that.
Ready and turn. Nice.
The wedding is this Saturday. What stories are you gonna do?
What do you mean, my speech?
Yeah. Are you gonna use the first time we met?
Yes.
Okay, what about the first date?
Yeah, of course.
Fuck!
You don't have to do a speech.
So you're saying Charlie is your first
Love? Yeah.
first love or your first crush?
Both, I think. Wait, is that insane?
At 30?
So I want to say this thing about her laugh. You know how it's very cute, but it's also kind of
Repulsive, even.
To many people, just having a movie with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson would be enough to get them to theaters. And oddly, we'll have two other movies with both of them this year, between Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey and Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 3. Although at this point, we don't know if the two actors will have many scenes together in those movies. In the drama, they have a lot of scenes together. In fact, most of the movie they're together. They play Emma and Charlie, an engaged couple about to get married very soon, as we follow the week of preparations leading up to their wedding day. When they're sampling some wines for their big day with their best friends, it's suggested they all should share what the worst thing is that they ever did. When Zendaya's Emma confesses her big secret, it creates a rift with Charlie and their friends. Alana Haim from the band Haim and from P.T. Anderson's Licorice Pizza and Mamadou Ati from Jurassic World Dominion play Emma and Charlie's best friends, whose casual drinking game is what starts things going downhill. And it's what turns a light romantic comedy about Emma and Charlie into a very dark dramedy about whether your relationship and upcoming marriage can withstand learning more about your future spouse's high school years. What sucks right now is if the numbers were back up and running at full capacity at 100%, I could easily just go to the page for Zendaya or to Robert Pattinson and immediately have some great comparisons for them. But without the numbers, it requires a bit of extra work on my end. Other than her breakout role in Euphoria, which returns to HBO Max for season 3 next month, Zendaya has mainly been doing big franchise movies like Spider-Man and Dune. She also starred in Luca Guadagnino's Challengers a few years back, which was released by Amazon MGM in late April 2024 to the tune of $15 million in nearly 3,500 theaters. It ended up making $50 million domestic and a little less overseas. That's probably the best comparison for the drama, although it's unknown whether A24 will release this movie into nearly as many theaters. Although Rob Pattinson has done his fair share of franchise work, from being introduced in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire to the blockbuster Twilight movies, as well as taking over the role of the Batman 4 years ago, he's been doing more artsy fare in recent years, including Lynn Ramsey's Die My Love opposite Jennifer Lawrence and Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17 last year. That was the Oscar-winning Korean filmmaker's follow-up to his Oscar-winning Best Picture Parasite, and it was released by Warner Brothers into 3,807 theaters in early March last year. It opened with $19 million and made just $46.1 million. Not great compared to its budget, but it made twice that overseas thanks to Bong Joon-ho's and Pattinson's international fans. The point is that these two actors consider A-listers. If they can open unconventional movies like those ones to 15 to 19 million, there's little to say that pairing them for the drama could potentially open even bigger, especially with the Easter weekend and the big boost the movie will probably get on Good Friday. What's crazy about the drama is that it's this really big secret at its core, which isn't a twist as much as the main plot of the movie. But the better critics will make an effort to keep that a secret. Unfortunately, that cat has already been let out of the bag. It's already getting pretty controversial, which may be why A24 is trying to keep it under wraps in the first place. Many critics, including myself, have already seen the movie, and there have generally been mixed positive reactions so far. The reviews won't hit until early on Tuesday morning, and I should also have a video review by then. Since the drama is not necessarily a mainstream film, that could be somewhat off-putting, even to some of the two stars' most diehard fans. Because of that, I have a feeling it might only open with around 50 million or slightly more, and that's also without knowing whether A24 will give us a release into 3,000 or more theaters, which they've actually done it a few times in the past. Also opening wide-ish on Good Friday is Roadside Attractions: A Great Awakening, which is a biopic about the relationship between Benjamin Franklin and the Reverend George Whitefield, directed by Joshua Enck. I have not seen it as I record this, but I do hope to review it in the print edition, so we'll have more about it then. Either way, I don't have a theater count for this at this point, and as a cast with no significant box office draw, I can't imagine this will open with more than 1 million. It'll probably end up outside the top 10. This is another movie that's basically getting dumped, but it's also a faith-based historical drama, and I really don't have a good take on these things, so I'm just going to leave it at that. That's it for this week. Have a great Easter weekend, and I'll be back next week talking about more new movies, mostly smaller movies that will continue to be overshadowed by the Super Mario Galaxy movie and Project Hail Mary, including You, Me, and Tuscany, also from Universal, and independent film channels Faces of Death. Have a great weekend.